Hello, good evening, everybody. Good evening. I've got to redo my formats here for the TikTok. I had them set for the tube, so here we are. Back on the talk again. Good evening. Hello. Hi, Casey. Welcome in. Sandy, hello. Good to see you. Upgrade 2.0. Always good to see you. Thanks for coming by. Willie B, hello. Linnell. Lisa, hi, good evening to you as well. I think we're doing okay at the moment. Hopefully we'll stay doing well. Shellbell, hello, welcome. I had originally planned to be over on the tube tonight, but I'm having some technical problems. So I will probably be over here on the talk for the next few days. I'm hoping to have everything sorted out by Monday, but we'll have to see. So I'll be over here for a little while at least. Hello, Nazreen. Hello. So I guess we still have the TikTok. I guess it didn't go dark on Sunday. But whatever. Oh, it's been a while. Yeah, I'm glad you could join us too. I know, right? The talk. You gotta be careful. Nobody's safe these days. Gotta watch your words. Hello, Lee. Welcome in. So don't get me wrong. I'm not going to stop going to the tube. I'm just in a temporary technical place for whatever that means. Hello, Professional Spoonie. Yay, we made it. I'm so glad. Good evening. Hello, Kaya. Kaya, I wanted to let you know I have filmed that ethics complaint video. I have filmed it. I need to edit it still, but oh my gosh, I was looking through the Perkins Coie case and I just couldn't even stop myself. I had to, well, actually I did. I stopped myself and then I said, this needs to be an ethics complaint. And so I filmed it all up. I just need to do some editing. I think it turned out okay. But I laughed a lot, all right? So if you feel like chuckling, I'll have that up hopefully pretty soon. So yes, well, welcome in everybody. Tonight's topic here, I need a smaller sticky pad. Hold on a second. I'm gonna tell you what, my whole home is just all sticky notes all the time. And that's okay. We're okay with that. Good evening. Hello, Big Grandma. So tonight, everyone, I'm going to just take you through kind of the highlights or what's going on with the Harvard case. And this case is, I think, very, very interesting. You know, we have a lot of frozen funds issues going on right now, where Congress has said these funds go here, and then the administration says, I'm not going to do that. And there have been all kinds of lawsuits, probably at least a dozen, maybe more, regarding federal fundings being frozen. But this is a unique creature here because we have a school and they were asked to change quite a bit of what they were doing and give that control to the administration. And they said, no, we're not going to do that because that's not right. So they have filed this complaint against the entire executive branch here. Some people just put in versus the executive branch, but no, we're at Harvard here, so we don't need to spare any ink. The other thing, too, that I thought was interesting that I wanted to get in on regarding the Harvard case, everyone, is that, and I am going to start going through these cases. These are really amazing learning opportunities here. But we have two incredibly professional and well-educated attorneys here, these two of which I'm familiar. And so I thought, well, we're going to have some interesting legal language in here. We can, learn from that perhaps. Or not, we will have to see with those two attorneys involved. Now, this case is, again, very unique because we have frozen funds like in many of the other cases, but we also have this extensive back and forth between the administration trying to actually negotiate, or some might say, call it something else other than negotiating. Some might say, I don't know, maybe exploitation, perhaps, or what's another word I'm looking for? It just slipped my mind, everybody. My mind is slipping a lot today. The weather's a lot. Let me see. What is the word? Extortion, maybe? No. Well, maybe, yeah. Maybe it could be extortion. Well, whatever. There's a lot of back and forth. So we have some exhibits to go through that coincide in here with the complaint. So we'll do that. It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. I wish I could send intimidate. Yeah, absolutely. I wish I could send everybody hugs because we're living in a bad time at the moment. Now, I wish I could say, that's all right. Everything's okay. It's not. Everything's not okay, but everything is survivable is how I'm looking at it. So at this point, I think we're really on the precipice, and I've said this before. When you go up that roller coaster and you're about to go down, yeah, we're at the top. There's some things that are about to go down here. But we'll be, yes, exactly, Kaya, same. But we're going to be okay. We're going to be all right. But I think our reputation is absolutely trashed in the country. So I think that's, it's a hard hit that we'll have to come back from. Don't get me started on the economy. I just hope it doesn't slip into a depression is where I'm at. That and looking for gold bars. So these aren't great times, but we do have wins. Every day we have wins. And so we've got to just take those wins and run with them. And this lawsuit, in my opinion, is a huge win because we all saw what happened with Columbia and how they totally got, themselves into that position. So no sympathy. But we do have a university, and they're going to set the trend. This lawsuit will set the entire country of that has all of our institutions in it for higher education. This is the one that will set it. Everyday knowledge. Oh, I'm happy to, Megan. I hope it's helpful. And also for me, again, one of my pet peeves is how people make the legal world so hard to understand. And I think that's honestly discriminatory. That really bothers me a lot. It doesn't have to be this complicated. So I'm happy to come in and try to, build that bridge so you can all just kind of have some idea of what's going on and then go and work with what you know. So We the People is, oh, thank you so much, Boxer Mom. We the People is Congress, all right, to some extent. So Congress is the only place that can file articles of impeachment. So the House has to go first. They file those articles and then they're sent over to the Senate. And the Senate then, can go through the conviction process if they're going to agree or not. So that's the process here. Work at the university, this case gives me, there are a lot of very hopeful cases. This is one, oh my gosh, everyone. The other case right now that I'm working on where I'm like, ooh, that's an ethics complaint, is the Perkins Coy case. This is the law firm, right? So the administration's starting to go after the law firms. And so I've been reading through this and oh my gosh, everyone, I wrote the stats down. We'll get into the Harvard here in a second. Well, I wrote the stats down and I don't know where I put it. Okay, so for this case, the amicus briefs are just out of the park. There's so many of them. We have one filing from 504 law firms for the plaintiff. I'll try to be a breath of fresh air. We'll see. I do have my tang going, so. And then we have 346 former judges and 363 law professors. And if you include all of the other amicus, we're looking at about, I had set it up to about 1,200 attorneys / judges and licensed law professors that are fighting for and with the firm here. So that's huge. Yeah, I know a lot of people are, we don't we don't crunch the numbers if we don't go into the paperwork, and there's so much going on. And so a lot of people are saying, well, what about the firms that have, conceded, of which there are two that we know of right now. But then I would say we've got about 1,500 others, and they're getting in on this. Like former judges. Are you kidding me? That's amazing. So we have a lot of people who are working here, and again, over 500 law firms and various things. So this case gives me a lot of hope as well. And also shows me which two law firms that I'm not going to use ever. And they're like, we don't need your work anyway. So there's that. So this for tonight, the case though, that I'm going to kind of take us through and go through the exhibits because there's all of this back and forth, is going to be the Harvard case. And there are multiple Harvard cases out there. This one to remember is called the President and Fellows of Harvard College here. So just to kind of keep that in mind. And I have their complaint along with the docket. And their complaint is so incredibly well written. It could really be used as a template for any place, any school. What about the colleges that conceded already? Yeah, they're in a pickle. They're in a pickle. Columbia's already filed a lawsuit. That's the only other lawsuit that I know of. But anyone who has kind of submitted to this kind of extortion, I guess, or whatever, bullying techniques, yeah, they're gonna suffer. They're gonna have a difficult time. But they're doing what they think is best for their whatevers, and that's what you gotta do, I guess. But the thing is, if you don't ever stand up to a bully, they'll just keep doing it to other people. So if no one had stood up, if all of our colleges or all of our law firms had all said, all right, well, what do you want? We'll do whatever you want. Just don't hurt us. We would be in some serious dire straits here. But luckily, we do not have that situation. We have some pretty significant fighters in a lot of our major cases here. Actually, I think in all of them, really. So let me break down. Oh, great. I'm so glad. I'm glad. This is crazy. Yeah. Although the one thing to remember too, whenever we get the mustache man involved is, although the technique is similar, very similar, we as a country are in a very different place than Germany was at that time. The only reason I bring that up is because we're starting with a strong economy that's being destroyed. And so I would say probably prime picking times for a mustache person to come in is going to be if the economy collapses. I think that's really going to be the big piece. But that's just my guess. I'm not an economist. I don't do math very well at all. So, I'll just leave it at that. So here we go, everyone. Let's dive in. This was filed, and again, this is available online. This is through Court Listener. My gosh, they're an amazing resource. And I only pull documents that are made available to the public. So there are some documents that are up on the PACER system, which means like you pay and then you can see certain documents that haven't been, sealed. But I only go through documents that anyone can get. So you can trace all of the documents back for free online. And this is in Massachusetts, of course. And we had our first filing, meaning the complaint was filed April 21st, so just a couple days ago. And again, to remind you all, we have exhibits. So what I thought I would do is start reading through. We'll kind of go through the intro piece because they set it out so well. And then we can start pulling the exhibits in to see what they're talking about, because there's quite a bit going on in this case. All right. So before I start reading, am I in frame okay, everybody? Good evening, Nunya. Good to see you. Citations. Well, yeah. I mean, this is actually a very posh complaint, if you ask me. Okay, we're lined up. Okay, great. All right, great. Thank you so much. So there's 6 6 counts here. We have First Amendment issues going on along with several other things. But there's 6 counts, and we have again up here the president and fellows of Harvard College versus the executive branch. And quite a few attorneys are working on this. So let's dive right in, everyone, to our introduction. And again, I'll start pulling in exhibits as they are discussed. I need to get my fun pen out for tonight. Tonight's a fun pen night, right? Here we go. So, number 1, each paragraph is numbered so we can cite to it easier as we go through the trial process. Scientific advancements and the pursuit of knowledge fuel America's innovation, economic success, and global leadership. The commitment to expanding human understanding is foundational at American universities, including Harvard, the nation's oldest institution of higher learning. Since its founding nearly 4 centuries ago, Harvard students, faculty, and researchers have helped identify and solve some of society's most pressing problems. Those path-breaking and life-saving advancements are due in part to the long-standing collaboration between universities such as Harvard and the federal government dating back to the Second World War. Millions of Americans are healthier and safer as a result. Federal funding has enabled researchers at Harvard to develop novel DRUGSs to fight Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, engineered nanofibers to protect service members and first responders, support American astronauts in space, and design an artificial intelligence system that can be used to diagnose and treat cancer. In recent weeks, the federal government has launched a broad attack on the critical funding partnerships that make this invaluable research possible. To date, the government has, with little warning and even less explanation, slashed billions of dollars in federal funding to universities across America, including Brown, Columbia, Cornell, Princeton, the University of Pennsylvania, and Northwestern. This case involves the government's efforts to use the withholding of federal funding as leverage to gain control of academic decision-making at Harvard. On April 11th of 2025, citing concerns of anti-Semitism and ideological capture. Oh my gosh, look at that. Disco ball. Sorry, everybody. The government identified 10 conditions Harvard must satisfy to receive federal research funding, already committed to by the government and relied on by Harvard, its researchers, and its affiliates. So we have the April 11 letter as Exhibit A. So let's go ahead and take a look at that, everyone. Exhibit A. Just back here, just one moment. All right, Exhibit A. And there's a lot of exhibits here, which I love. I think that's great. So they're talking about the letter. Let's see what the conditions are here. This is a letter to the president of Harvard University, and let's make sure it's coming out of the Department of, Department of Education. Okay, I thought the tree was the education, but who knows anymore. So Department of Education here, but let's just see who wrote this as I take you through the highlights. We have Josh Grunbaum, Commissioner of Federal Acquisition Services, and Sean Cavini, Acting General Counsel for U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Thomas Wheeler, Acting General Counsel for U.S. Department of Education. All right, so these are all the people that were involved in writing this letter. So they wrote this letter to the president of Harvard. I won't read everything. I think we'll need to hit the highlights, but here we go. Dear Dr. Garber, the United States has invested in Harvard University's operations because of the value to the country of scholarly discovery and academic excellence. But an investment is not an entitlement. it depends on Harvard upholding federal civil rights laws. So let me highlight when we have red flags here, all right? When this language goes outside of the scope of what's really going on here. So we'll just highlight that. Federal civil rights laws, and it only makes sense if Harvard fosters the kind of environment that produces intellectual creativity and scholarly rigor, both of which are antithetical to ideological capture. So this is probably going to be AI language here. Harvard has in recent years failed to live up to both the intellectual and civil rights conditions that justify federal investment. But we appreciate your expression of commitment to repairing those failures and welcome your collaboration in restoring the university to its promise. We therefore present the below provisions as a basis for an agreement in principle that will maintain Harvard's financial relationship with the federal government. So that's kind of threatening, right? Okay, we're 2 paragraphs in, everybody. We can do it. If acceptable to Harvard, this document will constitute an agreement in principle, which the parties will work in good faith to translate into a more thorough binding settlement agreement. As you will see, this letter incorporates and supersedes the terms of the federal government's prior letter of April 3rd of 2025. Yeah, it's a shakedown, exactly. It's already, I know. Yeah, it's a shakedown. So basically, they came to the neighborhood and they're like, hey, we will protect you from all the bad people, but you got to pay us, right? I mean, it's like we're in the Godfather movie. What? All right, here we go. I'll just hit the highlights again. Governance and leadership reform. So this is what they're saying they want Harvard to do, everyone. Keep that in mind as we go through this. By August of 2025, Harvard must make meaningful governance reform and restructuring to make possible major change consistent with this letter, including fostering clear lines of authority and accountability, sorry everyone, I struggle, tenured professors and senior leadership, and from among the tenured professorate and senior leadership, exclusively those most devoted to the scholarly mission of the university and committed to the changes indicated in this letter, reducing the power held by students and untenured faculty, reducing the power held by faculty, whether tenured or untenured, and administrators more committed to activism than scholarship. Okay, red flag, red flag, red flag. Oh my gosh. And reducing forms of governance, bloat, duplication, and decentralization that interfere with the possibility of the reforms indicated in this letter. Yeah, this is a lot. This is a lot. 2, merit-based hiring reform. So they're telling Harvard how they want them to hire people. By August of 2025, the university must adopt and implement merit-based hiring policies and cease all preferences based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin throughout its hiring, promotion, compensation, and related practices amongst faculty, staff, and leadership. All right, here's our next red flag here. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's so awful, everybody. All right, such adoption and implementation must be durable and demonstrated through structural and personnel changes. All existing and prospective faculty shall be reviewed for plagiarism, and Harvard's plagiarism policy consistently enforced. All hiring and related data shall be shared with the federal government and subjected to comprehensive audit by the federal government during the period in which reforms are being implemented, which shall be at least until the end of 2028. Are you freaking kidding me, everybody? This is crazy talk. I've not read through all of this, as you can tell. Let's just make sure we understand here. all hiring related data shall be shared with the federal government for a private legal or education institute, right? Like, what? They're not even like a state college or anything. Come on, man. All right. Next up, merit-based admissions reform. Let me put my sticky note back here for anyone who's joining us. I apologize. By 2025, the university must adopt and implement merit-based admissions policies and cease all preferences based on race, color, national origin, or proxies thereof, which, again, if you knew anything about how any diversity legislation is or works, it's like obviously they're already doing that. But the fact that they wrote it in a letter just shows that they lack the knowledge that goes along with this. Throughout its undergraduate program, each graduate program individually, each of its professional schools and other programs, such adoption and implementation must be durable and demonstrated through structural and personnel changes. All admissions data shall be shared with the federal government. Red flag, red flag. Oh, no. And subjected to a comprehensive audit. Second flag, that's not good. And subjected to a comprehensive audit by federal government, and non-individualized statistical information regarding admission shall be made available to the public, including information about about rejected and admitted students broken down by race, color, national origin, grade point average, and performance on standardized tests. Oh my gosh. Wow. During the period in which reforms are being implemented, which shall be at least until the end of 2028, during the same period, the dean of admissions for each program or school must sign a public statement after each admission cycle certifying that these rules have been upheld. Holy buckets, Batman. This is really bad. This is so bad. We're going to put this whole paragraph is a big orange flag, okay? That's a lot. Well, I know. This is no good right here. Oh my gosh. All right, here we go. I'm sure it gets better. It gets better, right? International admissions reform, all right? By August of 2025, the university must reform its recruitment, screening, and admissions of international students to prevent admitting students hostile to the American values and institutions inscribed in the Constitution and Declaration of Independence. What? That's what? Oh my God. Including students supportive of the terrorism or anti-Semitism. Right, that's just okay. Harvard will immediately report to federal authorities, including the Department of Homeland Security and State Department, any foreign student, including those on visas and with green cards, who commits a conduct violation. Okay, as above, these reforms must be durable and demonstrated through structural and personnel changes, comprehensive throughout all of Harvard's programs, and during the reform period shared with the federal government for audit, shared on a non-individualized basis with the public, and certified by deans of admissions. Holy goodness gracious. That red flags, orange flags, right, this is the flag here. So let's just, back up and remember, preventing to admitting any students hostile to American values. Like how would you grade that on a rubric? So you have someone standing in front of you who's a student and it's like, is it its own category? Like what level of hostility? Is it like yellow, orange, red? Or is it just like, I'm only hostile, on Tuesdays? Like, what are you talking about? I can think of better words. This is awful right here. All right. Sorry, moving forward. Red alert. Viewpoint diversity in admissions and hiring. It keeps getting better, everybody. They sent this letter to Harvard. All right, here we go. I need to take, I need some Tang. Oh my goodness. So, right, let's make a chart based off of, like, that's not even legal, man. You can't do that. All right. Viewpoint diversity in admissions and hiring. By August of 2025, the university shall commission an external party which shall satisfy the federal government as to its competence and good faith, so it can't be anybody from the executive branch, to audit the student body, faculty, staff, and leadership for viewpoint diversity. What in the name of what? My gosh. Such that each department, field, or teaching unit must be individually viewpoint diverse. This audit shall begin no later than the summer of 2025 and shall proceed on a department by department, field by field, or teaching unit by teaching unit basis as appropriate. Because nobody has anything to do in Harvard other than, run around with this kind of bologna sandwiches. The report of the external party shall be submitted to university leadership, the federal government no later than the end of 2025. Harvard must abolish all criteria, preferences, and practices, whether mandatory or optional, throughout its admissions and hiring practices that function as ideological litmus tests. Every department or field found to lack viewpoint diversity must be reformed by hiring a critical mass of new faculty. You did not just say that to Harvard. Did you just say that? Seriously. Like, you need to get rid of all of the people that are teaching and hire new people. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I'm seeing spots. All right, here we go. And hiring a critical mass of new faculty within that department or field who will provide viewpoint diversity. Every teaching unit found to lack viewpoint diversity must be reformed by admitting a critical mass of students. So they're telling them which students to bring in who will provide viewpoint diversity. This is just a flaming dumpster right now, everybody. This is one of the worst things I've ever seen. When you send a letter because you want to take over the ideologies of people, you just don't be so specific, because you're going to get called on it. Like, this letter is its own evidence for this entire case. If the review finds that the existing faculty in the relevant department or field are not capable of hiring, oh my gosh, for viewpoint diversity, or that the relevant teaching unit is not capable of admitting a critical mass of students with diverse viewpoints, hiring or admissions within that department, field, or teaching unit shall be transferred to the closest cognate department, field, or teaching unit that is capable of achieving viewpoint diversity. This audit shall be performed and the same steps taken to establish viewpoint diversity every year during the period in which reforms are being implemented, which shall be at least until the end of 2028. Okay, let's talk. Viewpoint diversity isn't a thing. This isn't a thing. There's no way to measure viewpoint diversity. Let's make sure I get this exactly right. Viewpoint diversity. Like, first of all, I thought we weren't supposed to have any diversity. Isn't that what they said? No diversity. But now they're saying viewpoint diversity is required. But who is the one that sets out the parameters for viewpoints? So it's not about race or age or anything, or even your college scores or your ability. It's about whether or not you can contribute a different point of view. Like, what? That's so ridiculous. How much was written by AI? Yeah, we'll have to see at the end. And I'm feeling like quite a bit of it here. Yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh. All right. Okay, this is another orange flag. Orange flag. All right, reforming programs with egregious records of, and I'm not going to say this word too many times because I don't want the live to go down. So we're going to call it anti, all right, or other bias by August 2025. The university shall commission an external party which shall satisfy the federal government as to its competence and good faith to audit those programs and departments that fuel anti-harassment or reflect ideological capture. The programs, schools, and centers of concern include, but are not limited to, the Divinity School, Graduate School of Education, School of Public Health, Medical School, Religion and Public Life Program, FXB Center for Health and Human Rights Center, Health and Human Rights, the Center for Middle Eastern Studies, Carr Center for Human Rights at the Harvard Kennedy School, Department of Near Eastern Languages and Cultures, and the Harvard Law School International Human Rights Clinics. I mean, this is just, are you freaking kidding me? My eyes are just like popping out of my head. So anywhere that has any kind of training, knowledge, or, explanations on other parts of the world are just like, you're out. So, all right. The report, I'm going to skip. We're going to skip this one and this one. It keeps going. They're going to get into details of the report here. So we'll just move forward past that one. Discontinuation of DEI. The university must immediately shutter all diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, offices, committees, positions, and initiatives under whatever name, and stop all DEI-based policies, including DEI-based disciplinary or speech control policies. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Speech control policies. Who wrote this? This is absolutely, oh my gosh. Like, they don't even need anything more than this letter to get a summary judgment, in my opinion here. Under whatever name, demonstrate that it has been done so to the satisfaction of the federal government, and demonstrate to the and they put it in here twice, and demonstrate to the satisfaction of the federal government that these reforms are durable and effective through structural and personnel changes by August 2025. The university must submit to the government a report. Certified tea break, thanks. Yeah, this is really awful. I mean, it's so illegal. I mean, the constitutional violations alone are just like, woo. Okay, where was I? Here we go. All right, student discipline reform and accountability. So they need to reform their student discipline policies and procedures so as to swiftly and transparently enforce its existing disciplinary policies with consistency and impartiality, and without double standards based on identity or ideology. So, like, they already do that. Where those policies are insufficient to prevent the disruption of scholarships, classroom learning and teaching, or other aspects of normal campus life. What's normal campus life? I'm not sure what that is. Harvard must develop and implement disciplinary policies sufficient to prevent those disruptions. This includes, but it's not limited to, the following. So we'll just go into one here, all right? Because we'll just do one here. All right. Discipline at Harvard must include immediate intervention and stoppage of disruptions or deplatforming, including by the Harvard police when necessary to stop a disruption or deplatforming. Robust enforcement and reinstatement of existing time, place, and manner rules on campus, including ordering the Harvard police to stop incidents that violate time, place, and manner rules. That's already required. So they're tossing some legal language in here. All right, let me just pull it out here for you. First of all, they are pulling here. Let me just make sure. Right, reinstating. Right. So time, place, and manner is the one of the checks on First Amendment speech, because the Supreme Court has held that there can be some regulation of time, place, and manner for the purpose of public safety, right? So we've got that already in place. So they have to already abide by that, or they would be in violation of the law already. So a disciplinary process housed in one body that's accountable to Harvard's president or other capstone official, and removing or reforming institutional bodies and practices that delay and obstruct enforcement, including the relevant administrative boards and FAS faculty council. So get rid of anybody that isn't going to be supportive of that. That's a lot. That's a lot. Right. I'm just peeking through here. So we've got, they're going into student groups, must implement a comprehensive mask ban with serious and immediate penalties for violations. This is a mask ban. All right. So, right. You're not allowed to wear a mask. You're not allowed to wear a mask. Investigate, carry out meaningful discipline for all violations that have occurred during 2023, 2024, 2024, and 2025 academic years, including Harvard Business School protest of October 2023. All right, I guess they had something in mind. The University Hall sit-in of November of 2023, because the sit-in is what? Come on, man. That's like what our country was founded on, was sit-ins. We're like, oh, were you guys already here? Yeah, well, we're just going to sit here. You don't mind, do you? I mean, we've been sitting in for a long time. And the spring encampment of 2024. So we've got 3 specifics here. This must include permanently expelling the students involved, what? In the October 18th situation. Here. And the Harvard president and police chief must publicly clarify that the Harvard University Police Department will enforce university rules and the law. Yikes. All right, whistleblower reporting and protections. So this should be interesting, and then we're almost done here. We'll zip back into their complaint. The university must immediately establish procedures by which any Harvard affiliate can report noncompliance with the reforms detailed in this letter to both university leadership and the federal government. That's another red flag here. So they're just going to say, I think they're violating something, and report it to the federal government. So that's how they would get Harvard even out of the equation. And people would be calling in on a tip line, I guess. That's what they're talking about. Any such reporter shall be fully protected from any adverse actions for so reporting. Like, yeah, okay. Transparency and monitoring. The university shall make organizational changes to ensure full transparency and cooperation with all federal regulators, no later than June 30th of 2025, and every quarter thereafter during the period in which reforms are being implemented, which shall be at least until the end of 2028. The university shall submit to the federal government a report certified for accuracy. By who? Who's going to certify that? That's crazy talk. Documents its progress, so the progress of the implementation of the reforms detailed in this letter. Again, who's going to certify for accuracy? The university must also, to the satisfaction of the federal government, disclose the source and purpose of all foreign funds. All right, that's another big red flag here. Oh my gosh, my goodness gracious. Source and purpose of all foreign funds. Cooperate with the federal government in a forensic audit of foreign funding sources. That's another red flag here. And uses, including how that money was used by Harvard, its agents, and to the extent available third parties acting on Harvard's campus. Report all requested report all requested immigration and related information to the United States Department of Homeland Security and comply with all requirements relating to the CVIS system. What? Let's back this up a second. I want to make sure. Oh my gosh! I want to make sure I got this correct here. All right. Oh my gosh. The university must also, to the satisfaction of the federal government, disclose the source and purpose of all federal funds, cooperate with the federal government in a forensic audit to foreign funding sources and uses, including how that money was used by Harvard, its agents, and to the extent available, third parties acting on Harvard's campus. Report all requested immigration and related information to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. That's not great. That's not great here. We're just going to put a big orange flag. Got an orange flag again. Oh my gosh. We expect your immediate cooperation in implementing these critical reforms that will enable Harvard to return to its original mission of innovative research and academic excellence. So that's Exhibit A. I just keep thinking, like, oh my gosh, everybody. You know, if you've got an evil master plan, I swear, like, I've always thought if I became an evil villain, I would never give away my plans. But that's what's happening here. All the plans are being given away. So it's like, what are you doing? Oh my gosh. All right, that was Exhibit A. Down here. The government, all right, picking back up, introduction to the lawsuit here. All right, so back in it. The government dictated that Harvard, now this is Harvard's filing, the government dictated that Harvard reform and restructure its governance to reduce the power of certain students, faculty, and administrators. It required that Harvard hire a third party to conduct an audit of the viewpoints of Harvard's student body, faculty, and staff. Then, based on the results of this university-wide viewpoint audit, Harvard must hire a critical mass of new faculty and admit a critical mass of students to achieve viewpoint diversity in each department, field, or teaching unit to the government's satisfaction as determined in the government's sole discretion. And the government has demanded that Harvard terminate or reform its academic programs to the government's liking. All told, the trade-off put to Harvard and other universities is clear. Allow the government to micromanage your academic institution or jeopardize the institution's ability to pursue medical breakthroughs, scientific discoveries, and innovative solutions. So, I mean, again, that letter was either do this or we're not going to give you any funding that has already been approved for you. Harvard is committed to combating this, one of the most insidious forms of bigotry, and to broadening the intellectual and viewpoint diversity within its community. Harvard is actively undertaking structural reforms to do both. And while important steps have been taken, Harvard acknowledges that there is still much work to do. Harvard also fully recognizes the requirement that it comply with all federal laws, including Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Woo, we love it when the Civil Rights Act gets cited. But as Harvard made clear last week in a letter to the government, attached as Exhibit B. All right, everybody, let's dive into Exhibit B. I can't wait. I'm really waiting for that response here for what did Harvard have to say. So Exhibit B, we'll go through, and it's much shorter. It's only, I think, a page. Yeah, a page and a half. Well, maybe a full page. But let's go through Harvard's response, shall we? Let's just take a look. It's via electronic mail here. And we've got Commissioner of Federal Acquisition Services and Acting General Counsel. So it's sent to those people that had sent them the letter. Right, so here we go. Dear Messrs. Grubbaum, Cavani, and Willer, we represent Harvard University. We are writing in response to your letter dated April 11th of 2025, addressed to Dr. Alan Garber, Harvard's president, and Penny Pritzker. Oh my God, that's the most amazing name ever. I'm sorry, everybody. That has caused me to catch my breath because of how amazing that name is. Oh my gosh. Senior Fellow of the Harvard Corporation. Harvard is committed to fighting anti and other forms of bigotry in its community. Anti and discrimination of any kind not only are abhorrent and antithetical to Harvard's values, but also threaten its academic mission. To that end, Harvard has made and will continue to make lasting and robust structural, policy, and programmatic changes to ensure that the university is a welcoming and supportive learning environment for all students, and continues to abide in all respects with federal law across its academic programs and operations, while fostering open inquiry in a pluralistic community free from intimidation and open to challenging orthodoxies, whatever their source. Now, this to me doesn't sound like AI. This sounds like just super poshy people. That's just like, right, they're drinking tea with their pinkies up and writing this. Over the past 15 months, Harvard has undertaken substantial policy and programmatic measures. It has made changes to its campus use policies, adopted new accountability procedures, imposed meaningful discipline for those who violate university policies. Really? Well, that's interesting. Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. Enhanced programs designed to address bias and promote ideological diversity and civil discourse. Hired staff to support these programs and support students. Changed partnerships, dedicated resources to combat hate and bias, and enhanced safety and security measures. As a result, Harvard is in a very different place today from where it was a year ago. These efforts and additional measures the university will be taking against anti not only are the right thing to do, but also are critical to strengthening Harvard's community as a place in which everyone can thrive. It's unfortunate then that your letter disregards Harvard's efforts and instead presents demands that, in contravention of the First Amendment, invade university freedoms long recognized by the Supreme Court. The government's terms also circumvent Harvard's statutory rights by requiring unsupported and disruptive remedies for alleged harm that the government has not proven through mandatory processes established by Congress and required by law. That pesky law. And I tell you what, the procedural law, again, is definitely the Achilles heel of this administration. No less objectionable is the condition, first made explicit in the letter of March 31st, that Harvard accede to these terms or risk the loss of billions of dollars in federal funding, critical to vital research and innovation that has saved and improved lives and allowed Harvard to play a central role in making our country's scientific, medical, and other research communities the standard bearers for the world. These demands extend not only to Harvard, but to separately incorporated and independently operated medical and research hospitals engaging in life-saving work on behalf of their patients. The university will not surrender its independence or relinquish its constitutional rights. Ooh, that's a good one. We like that. Neither Harvard nor any other private university can allow itself to be taken over by the federal government. Accordingly, Harvard will not accept the government's terms as an agreement in principle. Harvard remains open to dialogue about what the university has done and is planning to do to improve the experience of every member of its community. But Harvard is not prepared to agree to demands that go beyond the lawful authority of this or any administration. Whoo! Wow. All right. So Harvard's not playing around. They're like, this is crap. We're not going to do this. So let's dive back in. Again, this is the lawsuit Harvard has filed against the administration. And I just went through Exhibit A, which was the letter of demands. They said Harvard has to meet these demands or they weren't going to get funding. Then Exhibit B said, well, we're not going to do that because that's a violation of the law. And then, as we know, that funding has been tangled up. So this is the lawsuit that came from that. Here we go. In the words of Harvard's president, Alan M. Garber, quote, the university will not surrender its independence or relinquish its constitutional rights. No government, regardless of which party's in power, should dictate what private universities can teach, whom they can admit and hire, and which areas of study and inquiry they can pursue. Oh, right. So, exactly right, VC. And that's a really good point. They're doing great work over there. Lawfare is also kind of good for double checking, but they're just not as quick as just security. All right, number 6, in response to Harvard's defense of its own constitutional freedom, the federal government announced that it was freezing $2.2 billion in multi-year grants and $60 million in multi-year contracts value to Harvard University. And then the freeze order is set here. So let's take a look. We've got Exhibit C here. So they sent the letter and the response was Exhibit C. Here we go. That's pretty, all right. Here we go. All right, so this is a press release, Joint Task Force to Combat This statement regarding Harvard University. Today, the Joint Task Force to Combat This issue released the following statement. Quote, Harvard's statement today reinforces the troubling entitlement mindset that is endemic in our nation's most prestigious universities and colleges, that federal investment does not come with the responsibility to uphold civil rights laws. I didn't get that from their letter. Like I didn't get that this is what happened. All right, let's read on. Maybe it'll somehow make sense. The disruption of learning that has plagued campuses in recent years, like because of the pandemic, is unacceptable. The harassment of certain students is intolerable. It's time for elite universities to take the problem seriously and commit to meaningful change if they wish to continue receiving taxpayer support. I'm wondering, and I'm just shooting from the hip here, but I'm wondering if it'd be possible if when you're the leader that you don't discriminate against people for religious or race or national origin reasons. Like if you didn't do that, maybe other people wouldn't do that. Again, I'm just shooting from the hip here. The Joint Task Force to Combat This is announcing a freeze on $2.2 billion in multi-year grants and $60 million in multi-year contract value to Harvard University. Woo! All right. So they took the money back, or they didn't disperse the money here. Okay, right. It depends on who you're discriminating against. Then apparently it's okay. Yikes. So within hours of the freeze order, Harvard began receiving stop work orders. The freezing of federal fund amounts to final agency action has put vital medical, scientific, technological, and other research at risk. And that risk is growing. Just yesterday, it was reported that the government's planning to pull an additional $1 billion of Harvard's funding for health research. Defendants' actions are unlawful. The First Amendment does not permit the government to interfere with private actors' speech to advance, again, private actors' speech, to advance its own vision of ideological balance. Nor may the government rely on the threat of invoking legal sanctions and other means of coercion to achieve the suppression of disfavored speech. That's a really good case. The government's attempt to coerce and control Harvard disregards these fundamental First Amendment principles, which safeguard Harvard's academic freedom. A threat such as, here we go, turn the page. This, to a university's academic freedom, strikes an equal blow to the research conducted and resulting advancements made on its campus. Number 8, the government's actions flout not just the First Amendment, but also federal laws and regulations. The government has expressly invoked the protections against discrimination contained in Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 as a basis for its action. Make no mistake, Harvard rejects anti and discrimination in all its forms and is actively making structural reforms to eradicate anti on campus. But rather than engage with Harvard regarding those ongoing efforts, the government announced a sweeping freeze on funding for medical, scientific, technological, and other research that has nothing at all to do with anti-whatever. I'm just not going to say the words so we don't have a problem with the live. And Title VI compliance. Moreover, Congress in Title VI set forth detailed procedures. Oh no, everybody. I've got the puzzle. Oh my gosh. It is so hard to see this. All right, just give me a second here, everybody. Oh my gosh. My goodness gracious. Oh my gosh. Did we do it? Oh, we got it. Oh my gosh, that is so stressful. Every single time. It's so stressful. Oh my gosh. Okay, I think I get like 3 tries. Oh my goodness. All right. So what they do, they change the puzzle. Yeah. Okay. I'm so glad you said that. I'm like, it's not just me, is it? What happened before is they had a square puzzle. And if you were doing a live, you have to put a piece of the puzzle into the full picture. I guess so that, you don't just leave the stream running with no one there, I guess, whatever. So they've changed it now to a circle. And you have to spin the circle to match the shapes on the outside. And if you have any vision issues, which I have some huge vision issues, being able to see that shape turning is it's almost impossible. So it's very difficult for anyone, much less anybody with vision issues. So let me exhale. We made it, everybody. We made it through. Yeah, that's the thing is the streamers that just kind of leave it, but I don't know. For the rest of us hardworking TikTokers, it's like, do you mind? No, it certainly is not very inclusive. All right, here we go. Let me make sure I'm in the right spot again here. All right, here we go. We've got anti this and right. All right. Moreover, Congress in Title VI set forth detailed procedures that the government shall satisfy before revoking federal funding based on discrimination concerns. So that's like a really specific. The rule here, if you're going to pull federal funds because you say they're not complying because of discrimination, you have to use this section of the code. Those procedures effectuate Congress's desire that the termination of or refusal to grant or to continue federal financial assistance by a remedy of last resort. The government made no effort to follow those procedures, nor the procedures provided for in defendant's own agency regulations before freezing Harvard's federal funding. So this is this is an incredible thing too to think about. One of the things that has been used in the past historically has been this pulling of funds. All right, let me give you probably the best example. We have a seatbelt law, right? So a national seatbelt law. You have to wear your seatbelt. But there were some states that were like, well, we're not going to have that. You don't need to wear your seatbelt. All right. And so those states that didn't comply, the federal government said, well, you're not going to get any highway funds. So then now we've got the states coming into compliance with wearing a seatbelt. That's an example, all right, of using federal funds as a way to, motivate a state. But when you're using funds to stop like medical research and academics, that's a different story. That's a little bit different. The other thing, too, and I like to use this as an example, nationwide, as we all know, prostitution is illegal, right? You all know that. Except in Nevada, right? So Nevada has legal prostitution or ladies of the night or gentlemen or the people of the night. I don't know how to include everybody. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Except for in Vegas and Reno. Now, the government had tried to say, listen, Nevada, you can't be having the prostitution or the people of the night. You can't have that. And we're going to take some federal funds away. And you know what Nevada said? They said, fine, take it away. Because we're making so much money with these, houses of the night that we don't even need your stinking money, federal government. So those are two examples. You need to wear your seatbelt or else you're not going to get federal funding, all right? And we don't want to send federal funding to you because of prostitution. And they're like, well, we don't even need your money. So there you go, two big examples. But those examples, nowhere in there does it say you can no longer do cancer research, right? Oh my gosh. All right. So that's just an example. That's an example of how of how this is supposed to work versus what's happening here. Oh my goodness. All right. My understanding is as long as he labeled it emergency, it bypasses Congress. So emergency is one of the key pieces. In this particular situation, I'm not sure exactly how he's doing it because Harvard's saying this is how you're supposed to do it and you didn't do this. So to me, it seems like he wasn't following any procedures. Like it didn't matter if it was through Congress or not. He just apparently they're in charge of the transferring of funds and they're like, we're not going to do that. I suppose because of the Treasury Department is where the funds are, right? So he can make it so the Treasury Department doesn't dispense those funds, I guess, is my guess. But he did not follow any rule. Some emergency situations will allow for a quick Band-Aid moment and then go back into Congress, but nothing like this, nothing at this level. Right. All right, so here we go. These fatal procedural shortcomings are compounded by the arbitrary and capricious nature of defendants' abrupt and indiscriminate decision. Again, this is more legal terminology when a government person, whatever, has gone through and eliminated something in a way that's just not appropriate. So that's another legal term of art here, arbitrary and capricious. Abrupt and indiscriminate decision. Even before the freeze, the government had threatened to terminate up to $8.7 billion in federal funding, not just to Harvard, but also to preeminent Boston hospitals, such as Massachusetts General Hospital, Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, Brigham and Women's Hospital, Boston's Children's Hospital, and the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. So it's not just Harvard. They're cutting off funds due to hospitals. Like, how awful is that? These hospitals are independent corporate entities with their own board of directors or trustees and their own separate officers, leadership, and management. They are not under Harvard's control. The hospitals have no control over Harvard's enforcement of Title VI requirements and vice versa. These hospitals have their own tax identification numbers, endowments, and accounts, and they seek and receive federal financial assistance directly from federal agencies, not through Harvard. So pretty much anybody connected with Harvard, they froze the funds. The government has not and cannot identify any rational connection between the anti-concerns and the medical, scientific, technological, and other research it has frozen that aims to save American lives, foster American success, preserve American security, and maintain America's position as a global leader in innovation. Nor has the government acknowledged the significant consequences that the indefinite freeze of billions of dollars in federal research funding will have on Harvard's research programs, the beneficiaries of that research, and the national interest in furthering American innovation and progress. So this is the point where I say whatever kind of damage that they are sustaining by having these funds frozen, they could actually bring another lawsuit. So let's say, they had to shut a lab down, or they had to shut an experiment down that had been going for years, but there was no way to keep it going. They didn't have the funds. Let's just say hypothetically. So they could take to court, we were guaranteed this money. Congress said they were going to give us this money. You withheld the money, and then we lost. We sustained significant damages. And so it would be possible to sue under that, or at least to look into suing under that. Okay, let me just make sure. Okay, we just have one page left here of the introduction. The government characterized its action to cut $2.2 billion in a multi-year grants as a freeze rather than as a termination of or refusal to grant or to continue assistance under 42 U.S. Code Section 2000D-1, but the effect is the same. Under whatever name, the government has ceased the flow of funds to Harvard as part of its pressure campaign to force Harvard to submit to the government's control over its academic programs. That in itself violates Harvard's constitutional rights, but the government has also failed to engage in the statutorily mandated process Congress required under Title VI before funds are cut off, which provides independent grounds for declaring the freeze unlawful. By accepting federal funds, Harvard agreed to abide by the provisions in Title VI and the relevant agency's corresponding regulations. But Harvard's agreement is not a blank check for agencies to impose the government's recent unrelated demands as a condition of continued funding. And we're citing the Cummings case here. The legitimacy of Congress's power to enact the spending clause legislation rests on whether the recipient of federal funds voluntarily and knowingly accepts the terms of that contract. And recipients cannot knowingly accept the deal with the federal government unless they would clearly understand the obligations that would come along with doing so. All right, number 12, defendants' actions threaten Harvard's academic independence and place at risk critical, life-saving, and path-breaking research that occurs on its campus, and they are part of a broader effort by the government to punish Harvard for protecting its constitutional rights. I think that's a fair statement. In the days since Harvard rejected the government's unconstitutional demands, the government has launched multiple investigations and other actions against Harvard. Wow. Oh my gosh. Although the government has indicated that it made several attempts to contact the university, at no time has it rescinded the draconian demands laid out in the April 11th letter. I think that's an appropriate word. Draconian. Indeed, the government has only ratcheted up cuts to funding, investigations, and threats that will hurt students from every state in the country and around the world, as well as research that improves the lives of millions of Americans. Plaintiff President and Fellows of Harvard College brings this civil action under the Constitution of the United States, the Administrative Procedure Act, Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 as amended, and 42 U.S. Code Section 2000D-2 to enjoin defendants from exceeding the bounds of their legal authority and to protect Harvard's constitutional rights. Whew! Well, that was a pretty amazing intro, everybody. So what are our thoughts here? What are our thoughts? Now, I've not read what happens with Colombia, so I do not know if they received a letter similar and then they negotiated it so they felt better or what. But this is pretty bad. Sorry, everybody, as my voice is cracking a little. Apologies. All right. Is there more to read? So I probably will not read more tonight. There is more that you can read. I usually try to not go beyond 90 minutes for my lives and kind of protect my voice a little bit, but right, from junior high. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a mess. It's getting worse every day. Is complying in advance. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, pretty bad. You're right. Yes, I have gone through quite a bit of the Abrego Garcia case, and actually you can go to my Tube channel, the Tube of You, and I've got all of those lives up and posted there if you're interested. You're welcome, Blue Hawk. I'm happy to help. We still have 3 3/4 years. No, don't say that. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. Yes, gotta have a little happy pen. I'm trying to bring as many rainbows as humanly possible into my world right now. Kind of make up for the deficit. Oh, I love your. Oh, you're so sweet. You're so sweet. I think the governor's. I don't know. Will you read more tomorrow? So yes, I can. I can come in. Now my question to everyone is, I will be doing another live tomorrow on Friday. I've got that scheduled. I will be here on TikTok. But my question is, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Oh, I love that. I love fireworks. My question is, should we pick up on the Harvard case and go into more of the details? Or do you want to start going through the Perkins Coy case? So that's kind of the question. If we do deep dives into any of these cases, then, it's going to take a couple of lives, a couple of TikTok lives. Wait, that didn't come out right. But we also have so many cases at this point, over 200 to choose from. So there's quite a bit. So that's kind of something to think about. I may put a post out tomorrow morning just to confirm that I will be able to go live and then just kind of ask. I can do a little poll there, see how that goes. Yeah, this case is fascinating. And again, this whole idea of the federal government giving you demands, and if you don't abide by those demands, they're pulling billions in funding, and not just to Harvard, but to other hospitals and other places are being affected as well. Yes, quite right. Yes, right. So yeah, I'll figure it out, everybody. I'll figure it out. But I will be over here on the TikTok doing lives for the next few days. I'm hoping by Monday I'll have everything sorted for the Tube, but fingers crossed. I'm not leaving the Tube and coming back. I'm just, we're doing both. We're doing both. It's, I've got two. I've got two others. Yes. Oh, yes, exactly, everyone. So this is a good stopping point for us. There are 6 counts, and I will do a post tomorrow to confirm that I'll be able to come live again. And, maybe we should finish up kind of the super highlights, going through their exhibits here, which might be worth it to kind of close the chapter on this. And then we can open the door on the next case. There's a lot of cases, everyone. So turn your notifications on. I will be coming back as much as possible because there's just so much going on. so much going on. I do have a Tube of You channel, and you can feel free to join me over there. Tons of content, and all of my lives are posted there from TikTok, except for maybe a couple. And then all of my lives that I've done on YouTube are also there. So I thank you so much, everybody. Oh my gosh, look at that. We're over 100,000 likes. Oh my gosh, that's so sweet, everybody. So thank you so much for coming and joining me. And I appreciate you all so very, very much. And thanks for your help, moderators. I really appreciate you as well. So have a good night, everyone. And I'm hoping to be back tomorrow over here on The Talk. Take care.